Hello, and welcome to another video from the YouTube channel, From Religion to Agnostic. Question: is the biblical Yahweh actually a dragon? All of the evidence seems to say so. So let's look at some of the scriptures, shall we? I mean, you all do say that the book is your authority, and that each word is from this God, correct? So please, by all means, then let's check his words. First, let's look at 2 Samuel 22:9. There went up as smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured, coals were kindled by it, KJV. Smoke arose up in his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth did devour, coals flamed forth from him, JPS Tanakh 1917. Okay, and next we have Exodus 15:7 and 8. And in the greatness of your excellence you have overthrown those who rose against you, you sent forth your wrath, it consumed them like stubble. 8 And with the blast of your nostrils the waters were gathered together, the flood stood upright like a heap. The depths, congealed in the heart of the sea, KJV. And in the greatness of thine excellency thou overthrowest them that rise up against thee, thou sendest forth thy wrath, it consumeth them as stubble. 8 And with the blast of thy nostrils the waters were piled upero, the flood stood upright as a heap, the deeps were congealed in the heart of the sea, JPS Tanakh 1917. Okay, and let me just say that there is so much more, and we will get to it as we go, but first folks, I must say, if it walks like a duck, and it talks like a duck, then in reality, it's a damn duck, or in this case, dragon. Let's move on to some more self-incriminating evidence from the book's own words, shall we? LOL. Job 4:9. By the blast of God they perish. And by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed, KJV. By the breath of God they perish, and by the blast of his anger are they consumed, JPS Tanakh 1917. And so now I want to look at the Psalms, songs, you know that they sang in praise and worship of this deity. Let's look. I want to point you to Psalm 18:8. 8 There went up as smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured, coals were kindled by it, KJV. 9 Smoke arose up in his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth did devour, coals flamed forth from him, JPS Tanakh 1917. And here is one where we can see they plainly changed the word nostril into anger. Jeremiah 15:14. And I will make thee to pass with thine enemies into a land which thou knowest not. For a fire is kindled in mine anger, which shall burn upon you, KJV, has anger. And I will make thee to pass with thine enemies into a land which thou knowest not. For a fire is kindled in my nostril, which shall burn upon you, JPS Tanakh 1917, has nostril. So you see, in this case we look at the Hebrew script and the word used is beit, aleph, pei, yod, bp. The bayit, being a letter for, in, the root word aleph, pei, ep, equals, nostril, and the yod standing for, my. So you have, in my nostril. Now I must point out here. We know that many Hebrew words have many different meanings. So yes, the aleph, pei, ep, can also mean anger, but they classify that word at the very end. And nostril being the first word showing in sequence to be first used. Also, I think the JPS Tanakh would better know the wording of their texts. So with them saying nostrils, I would have to go with the JPS. But hey, I see how this happened. I mean, really, with all the thousands of revisions over the span of a few hundred years, not to mention in the documentary hypothesis it tells you how they were put together. And that there was a what? Redactor. So tell me, you trust this supposed book of man? I mean, really, if these are the words of a god, they are anything but truth. You see, if I was gonna serve a god, I would make sure he wasn't some lunatic psycho killing whole cities and populations for virgins and territory. I mean, one has to sit and think, this book is filled with bloody battles, thief of cities, laws taking from other mythologies and re-edited their way, not to mention they try to instill this blind faith hoax, just believe. Sorry, I think I trust science and archaeology more. I see this book as a deity who wants nothing more than control. And that is a God I want no dealings with. Okay, and so we see that this God has nostrils that kindles a flame, and a mouth that breathes out fire. And we see this in many different places. Point is, as they say, scripture is backing up scripture, lol. So now I want to look at a few more verses to make my point. Let's look at Psalms 91:4. Yahweh is described with feathers, Psalm 91:4, as depicted on most of the most ancient dragon wings, and this idea lasted until medieval times, after which dragons became less commonly seen. Saphira in Aragon is reminiscent of these ancient dragon depictions, and probably inspired the design of this character. Psalm 91:4, He will cover you with His pinions, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and buckler, KJV. He will cover thee with His pinions, and under His wings shalt thou take refuge. His truth is a shield and a buckler, JPS Tanakh 1917. Or we can look at Psalms 57:1. To the choirmaster, according to Do Not Destroy. A miktam of David, when he fled from Saul, in the cave. Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me, for in you my soul takes refuge. In the shadow of your wings I will take refuge, till the storms of destruction pass by, KJV. For the leader, Tasheth. A psalm of David, Miktam, when he fled from Saul, in the cave. Be gracious unto me, O God, be gracious unto me, for in thee hath my soul taken refuge. Yea, in the shadow of thy wings will I take refuge, until calamities be overpast, JPS Tanakh 1917. How about Leviticus 9:24? Let's look at that one that is after all within the first 5 books and considered the word of this deity correct. And there came a fire out from before the Lord, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted, and fell on their faces, KJV. And there came forth fire from before the Lord, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, and when all the people saw it, they shouted, and fell on their faces, JPS Tanakh 1917. So you see, I could go on for days on how the deity in this book is none other than a dragon, and or you could say cherub maybe. Actually there is enough evidence of Yahweh being a dragon to literally fill a book, as it indeed has, but thought this is an adequate amount of biblical facts to gender an interesting discussion. Alrighty, and that will do it for this video. Catch you on the next one. Have a great day, and be safe. If you enjoyed this video, please think about subscribing, as well as hitting the like and sharing would help out a lot. Thank you all, and may the gods guide you in your journey. Stay blessed.